Happy Thursday, Chiefs Kingdom. Welcome to this live edition of Outside the Trenches, presented by our good friends at Jack Stack Barbecue. The premium matchup of the playoff weekend can't come soon enough. Chiefs and Bills from Arrowhead Stadium, Sunday night at 5:30 Central Time. The rematch of the Week 5 game and also last year's AFC title game. We'll break down the latest news and some of the drama surrounding this week's game, plus much more random stuff, because if you listen to our show, you already know this is going to go all over the place. I'm DJ Kissel, spent 6 years as the Chiefs team insider, and I was fortunate enough to be on the sideline for the Super Bowl win down in Miami a few years ago, and now doing some work here with KC Sports Network. And I'm joined by my guys, Nick Leckey, 6-year NFL veteran, Super Bowl champion with the New Orleans Saints in 2009, and a former K-State All-American. We're also joined by Tucker Franklin, our podcast producer and Chiefs Media's #1 TikTok influencer. Guys, tell me something good. Nick, tell me something good.
You know, it's Thursday. It's your last year of your 30s. Happy birthday to that. So yes. I think that's what's good. You know, that's what's good. They survived the Steelers, and now we're on to the Bills. So this would be a great showdown. We've eliminated we've trimmed the fat from playoffs, and we've reached max playoff teams, and it's all good now. It's like, okay, this is rivalry. This is iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, you're gonna play good teams at this point. Beat a good team. You got to play well, and if you play well, you get a chance to go win something special. Tucker, tell me something good.
Well, I always like it when my girlfriend Tara asks me every week. She'll say, "Is this team good? We're about to play," and I tell her this week, I'm like, there's no more bad teams. We don't get to play any more bad teams. It's a playoff, so we don't get to play any more bad teams. But what's good is I have organized this. I don't know if you've checked the comment section, BJ. There's a bunch of people bombarding you with happy birthday wishes. So happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Chiefs Kingdom.
So,
and
the
everyone.
king is the king. Yeah.
I don't know about that, but it is a weird point. I'm 39. At some point when I hit 30, I think I stopped celebrating birthdays. So I get to pick what I eat, and I get to maybe pick what we watch on television later if we have time to hang out. So that's about it. I get a lot of hugs from my kids, so that's pretty good. But yeah, it's been good so far. Got to go to Jalapenos for lunch, little Mexican. So yeah, favorite.
What'd you get?
Spot. Love that spot. Same thing I get when I was like 11. Just like a beef burrito, topped with queso.
Oh, I thought you said a beef burrito. I was like,
no, it's beef, no bean, literally just beef, a tortilla, and queso sauce on top. Like literally the most basic thing you could possibly have. So anyway, no one cares about that. And what they care about is the Chiefs and Bills, and we're going to break that all down. But before we do, quick shout out to Jack Stack Barbecue, and for anyone that gets into KC Restaurant Week, that is going on right now. And right now you can enjoy a $15 lunch menu at Jack Stack for one, or the $35 dinner menu for two. And that is going through January 23rd. You can get all the good stuff at Jack Stack Barbecue, or it ships around the country at orderjackstack.com. So, and we appreciate all of you out there for watching, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or whether you're listening after the fact on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to your shows. We appreciate you for spending part of your day with us, guys. Let's get to the front of the queue. First thing, quick injury update. Darrell Williams and Rashad Fenton did not practice again today for the second day in a row. So something to keep in mind, or just to kind of have an eye on, especially tomorrow afternoon. Generally, guys who don't practice throughout the week and definitely don't get any work on Friday don't end up playing, has been kind of the consistent case throughout Andy Reid's tenure. But guys, let's get to the main storyline. And I don't want to, it's kind of the same thing that we said with the Steelers last week, is the narratives out there. Are you taking the Steelers lightly and all these things? And I jokingly said, like, I don't have to play the Steelers, so I can say whatever I want. Same point right here is this the AFC Championship? Is the winner of this game going to the Super Bowl? Does the Titans Bengals game matter for whoever comes out victorious? Chiefs Bills on Sunday night. Tucker, let's go with you because I saw your eyes. Is this the AFC title game?
I think so. I think these are the two best teams in the AFC. If you were to tell me at the beginning of the year that this was going to be a divisional game, I was like, oh, how far did Buffalo fall? Basically is how I would have phrased it. But I think these two teams meeting up in the divisional round might not be great for the AFC as a whole and the NFL as a whole, because you want the best competition in the conference happening in that championship round. But it is a really good contest, and I'm really excited for it. It's one of those games where there's a bunch of stuff to talk about, and if you want to have a more in-depth X's and O's breakdown, I mean, the Casey Lab did a phenomenal job breaking down the X's and O's of that. It's just, there's a lot going on there, but I think these two teams are very well coached, very buttoned up, and this is the biggest game for both of these two teams in a long time.
Yeah,
Nick, do you agree?
Yeah. Well, I think, to me, it's like, I would have thought the Titans would have fallen off so bad after they lost Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. And they did not. They kind of thrived. They really did, and they maintained that number one seed. And now they get them back. They get the King back, and you got a complete offense. Just, I don't know, man. I don't know how far Tannehill can take them. Right. I mean, obviously Derrick Henry, you could ride Derrick Henry all day, be good. But does Tannehill have what it takes? It's just one of those things you have to figure it out. And then I think that Joe Burrow. We'll see if he's one trick pony with Jamar Chase. We'll see what T. Higgins can do, what Uzama can do in their defense. So is this the top two teams? Yes, but are those other teams 3 and 4? Yes. Are they close? Yeah. Especially come playoff time. Look at the coaching factor. I think Vrabel's a hell of a coach, but
yeah, I do think Mike Vrabel should win Coach of the Year. When losing Derrick Henry and the roster, everything that they have, and that defense playing really, really well at different points throughout the season. So I think you have to give it to them, but at the same time, while knowing and respecting that if you don't play well against the Titans, they could absolutely beat you. It's just different for me, and I'm not ever going to be worried about a team that doesn't have a Josh Allen or honestly like a Joe Burrow. Not that I'm worried, but I just don't feel like Tannehill can put up the same kind of points. When you get to the playoff, I just expect everyone to play well. And when the Chiefs are playing their absolute best, they're going to put up more points than a good Derrick Henry game can. We've seen Derrick Henry have a really good game in the playoffs against the Chiefs, and it still wasn't enough. So they have to be able to put up points. I just don't think at their best, with everybody playing the best, I think the Bengals and then obviously the Bills are the two best teams that can do that can go pound for pound or shot for shot with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs if they're on the top of their game as well.
I think we should mention too, AJ Brown has been really good for the Titans since he came back. I know Craig likes to mention when Derrick Henry was gone, AJ Brown was also gone for a lot of that. And ever since he came back, he's been kind of the main point of that offense. He got food poisoning with Chipotle and said he's never going to eat Chipotle again, which sucks for him because I love Chipotle. I could never give up Chipotle if they gave me food poisoning once, which they probably have. But I just think that AJ Brown is a big part of that. You can't forget about him. I'm not very big on Ryan Tannehill, but AJ Brown kind of rights a lot of those wrongs.
Yeah. And Tannehill's the right quarterback, the play action passing and all those things that you see with, like, he's accurate. He's athletic. He makes good decisions. I don't think he's the most accurate quarterback in the world, but you've got 9 yards of separation because everybody's worried about Derrick Henry. You don't have to throw in tight windows in the same way we've seen from some of the other guys. And if you're not the most accurate quarterback in the world, but you've got beasts like AJ Brown and Julio Jones, and both those guys, to their credit, are known for being physical guys that they don't worry if somebody's draped all over them on a not terribly accurate pass. They can physically go up and make that play. So let's move on to the next segment. And Tucker, we were talking about this before we started recording, and that, both these teams are looking a little different than that week 5 matchup last time we played. Obviously for the Chiefs, it was in the middle of that funk that they had, those weird turnovers, and there were guys obviously on the defensive side that weren't playing for the Chiefs. Melvin Ingram wasn't on the team yet. Chris Jones, Willie Gay, Charvarius Ward, those guys did not play. So it's hard to put a lot of stock into how the Chiefs performed defensively going up against them. Tucker, you mentioned Nick Bolton not necessarily playing his best position in that game because of what they were dealing with. Daniel Sorensen and some of these other guys getting more snaps. But on the Bills side, they had Tre'Davious White. Now they don't have Tre'Davious White, who was injured going into this game, who's always, anytime the Chiefs and Bills play, particularly for a playoff game, his name's going to get mentioned because Tre'Davious White was picked with the number 27 pick that the Bills got when they traded back with the Chiefs when the Chiefs went up to get Patrick Mahomes. So for them, it's actually worked out as well as it could have, in that you still got an all-pro, Pro Bowl type player, which is a lot better than it could have been considering who you missed out on. But they like Josh Allen. But guys, how much stock do you put, Nick? How much stock do you put into the first matchup, knowing that the rosters are different? It's playoffs, and that was so long ago. What do you take from that game?
I would, if I was a player or if I was a coach, I'd watch it, but wouldn't emphasize it. And, honestly, I might not even watch it just because it's such a different game. I mean, it's such a different, if you're the Bills offense, you're not watching that game. That game has no bearing on you whatsoever. That's a completely different defense that you're seeing right now. Totally different vibe, totally different play style. What they're doing, who's performing. And you're like, no, we're not going to watch that. That's an anomaly. That's might as well be 2020 film. And it's just one of those things where it's like, this is a new look team, man. This Chiefs team is peaking at the right time.
I mean, I had I think I had a tweet thread going on. I can't remember, a few days ago about, frankly, Melvin Ingram wasn't on this team, on this defense. So I don't want to hear anything about this matchup, about the week 5. So this team's completely different since Melvin Ingram landed on this team for a 6th round pick. Isn't that wild? Wow. A 6th round pick for that guy. He's been really, really an anchor on this defense. And I'd like to see him in Kansas City for a couple more years. I know that kind of is a conversation going on now with the season kind of winding down. Okay, do you extend this guy? Because if Frank Clark goes, you're looking at a big conversation of having to find 2 defensive ends, probably even 3 defensive ends. And if you can, Ingram limit that story a little bit. But yeah, as you mentioned, BJ, Nick Bolton was playing out of position. L'Jarius Sneed didn't have a great start to that game. I think there was a lot of pass interference calls. So a lot of different variables go into that.
Yeah, and you talk about what the Bills have, Stephon Diggs, one of the best route runners. I mean, these guys have weapons, but when you talk about the Bills' offense, especially what we saw, and said it, I think it's the 4th time I've used this phrase now, like exercising the demons against the Patriots and just kind of letting 15 years of frustration out in that game. But Josh Allen's ability to run the football, and I know it's almost cliche at this point because it's so unique for him, and that maybe during the regular season you can have those conversations of not wanting to put your quarterback in harm's way and not wanting to get a bunch of extra hits. Well, now you're 3 wins away from achieving everything. You do whatever you can. So question, Nick, Tucker, for you guys is this a kind of like we talk about like Nick Bolton when we went up against, Tennessee, like this is a Nick Bolton or a Willie Gay spy Josh Allen type thing. And I know you can't simplify your defense to make it just, okay, Willie, you've got Josh Allen the entire, you can't do that kind of thing. But how much can you try to put a spy on a quarterback in this kind of situation, not knowing that he can absolutely tear you apart with his arm because of the arm strength? Just what kind of challenge that present, and what can you do with the 2 young linebackers to try to mitigate what they do so well with him running the football?
I think that you have to on every play. Like, I think if you got 4 D linemen, you got to save a nose guard to spy on him, or other play you're gonna have a linebacker. I even, the NFL is a copycat league, and I really liked the delayed blitzes that Baltimore did to Kansas City, where they said Mahomes makes most of his plays when he's out of pocket, and if you got a rush coming and Mahomes steps up and tries to scramble the pocket, they had someone there to stop him. A nickel playing that position. I think you do the same thing, Josh Allen. You have to respect his speed because he'll burn you with it. And if you can take that element out of his game away, you're going to limit their production.
Yeah.
And if they try any of those, option reads, or he's like carrying out the fake, Frank Clark's going to hit him. Like, I thought he had the ball. Like in the playoffs, they don't get the benefit of the doubt. And that's different discussion for a different time of those running quarterbacks and how much leeway do they get in carrying out fakes and doing things like that. This is absolutely one of those games. If Josh Allen is going to give you a chance to hit him, you got to hit him. Like if they're going to take the risk and put him out there and run the football with him, you got to make him like treat him like a running back, get up there and hit him and maybe take away some of those plays or at least have him second guess trying to get after some of that stuff. Sorry, Tucker. What was your thoughts on slowing down Josh Allen in that running game?
No, I think it's going to be interesting to see what Steve Spagnuolo does because he likes to blitz guys like this. But if you don't get home on the blitz, you're not going to have anybody to tackle him. You're going to rely on safeties and corners to end up tackling Josh Allen, who has hurdled safeties and corners when they try to tackle him. So I think that it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive Spagnuolo is because you do kind of want to make him uncomfortable. When you make him uncomfortable, the Bucs did a really good job of making Josh Allen uncomfortable, and he had to make some throws that he wasn't 100% sure of, and he didn't play very good against the Bucs. So I think that it's going to kind of be like that. But I want to see this Chiefs front four get after him, and I want to see them get home with their front four pressure. And I think that's going to really be the best is if you have that front four pressure and a guy who's spying. And I think that kind of will throw them off. I'm sure they'll get mixed coverages and they'll do slot drop cover 2 or whatever Craig likes to call it. But they'll do something to kind of disguise coverages, confuse them a little bit, and see if they can force some turnovers. Because I think that's going to be the biggest thing in this game is what defense can force turnovers and give their offense more chances to score. And I think that's going to kind of come down to that.
So it's about not turning the ball over and getting pressure on the opposing quarterback. We do this everybody does it every game. Like it's every football game. It's a simple game. Take care of the football, hit the other guy who has the ball in his hands all the time, make him uncomfortable. But for me, we talk about the leadership, the veteran stuff. If the Chiefs get an early lead, I'd be curious to see how the Bills respond to that. Not that they don't have veterans on that side, but the Chiefs have a lot of guys that have played in some really, really big football games. And you see that kind of maturation or that just maturity. I mean, go back 2 years ago, the Texans game. I mean, you can't come back and win a game being down 21-0 early and not having like leadership or all those things that you have. And I know that was 2 years ago, but even the Broncos game a couple weeks ago where they had the slow start, they don't need a fast start. They don't have to necessarily play well right out of the gate for them to be able to turn it around. And for a team like the Bills that hasn't shown that they can go win a big game like this, how do they react in a situation if things start to not go their way early on, especially when they're on the road? How does Josh Allen react to that? What kind of impact does Chiefs Kingdom make? And what does Arrowhead Stadium do in that moment? So that's all the exciting stuff. The other thing, and talking about Patrick Mahomes, the Bills defense, I know this was out there. I think I saw the stat that like last 144 plays that the Chiefs offense has faced the Bills had only blitzed 9 times. And so a lot of their pressure, if they can get pressure with 4, they don't see the point in sending the extra guy. Anyone who's listening should know that Patrick Mahomes has by far and away been the best quarterback against the blitz in the NFL for like 3 years running. That's why teams don't really blitz him. You see that cover 2, you put a lot of guys deep and make him stay patient. You can get pressure with 4 and you drop a lot of guys in coverage. Can we be patient enough to move the ball methodically down the field to score? And that's the storyline of this game is how patient can the Chiefs offense be if they're not blitzing and if they're not getting those, few guys in coverage to kind of find those open zones.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a defensive game that'll be won, I think, on the defensive side of the ball. I know a lot of people are going to talk about these offenses, but I think the defense is giving their offense chance going to be kind of the biggest thing, and whoever's defense can hold up the best is going to be the winner.
I think, healthy CEH and healthy McKinnon, I think you got a dual threat coming out. I don't see Williams, like you said, BJ. If he's got to practice tomorrow. He's got to be available tomorrow to be included in that game plan. And the way he looked, he did not look confident versus Pittsburgh. You could tell that toe was hurting him, and that'll affect you as a running back. If you're worried about your toe, no, you should not play. If you're that hurt, you can't gut it through in the playoffs. Especially when you got 2 guys who are capable to step up too, and guys who have shown, guys who have matured this season. I love McKinnon, I love CEH. I think they've taken some big leaps, and I think that's how you battle this Buffalo defenses. Versus Week 5. They have a credible run threat now. They've figured out their offensive line now, and I think that's really cool. Like I saw some moves from McKinnon that he looks like Le'Veon Bell did with the Steelers. Like he had some patience back there, and he knows he can trust his big boys up front to take care of them and to mash their men, and he'll find that hole. And he's also got that downhill ability.
There's always going to be those guys that kind of, I don't want to say come out of nowhere because we know who Jet McKinnon is, but those guys that somebody else is going to be open. If the Bills just use their entire game plan to try to slow down Travis or try to slow down Tyreek, is it Byron Pringle, who we've seen have some big moments for some big games? Is it Josh Gordon make a couple of catches that we've been waiting to see him make, those big third down catches that we've been talking about on this show? Is it Demarcus Robinson? Is it Jet McKinnon again stepping up, making those? Who's the guy who's going to step up and make a play outside of Kelsey and Hill, who are going to get there? As we saw it, I think they had 290 yards combined last year in the AFC title game and just absolutely tore the Bills apart, who again aren't going to have Tre'Davious White. So how are they going to combat not being able to necessarily line up and just beat guys one-on-one? They got to try to confuse Patrick Mahomes without blitzing him and making, the decisions easy for, just the mental acuity he plays with that position. So really interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah. Don't forget, Fairway Independent Mortgage makes the home loan process as simple as possible by guiding you through every step, just as they've done for the past 25 years. Call Jennifer Dixon at 816-390-8898. It's 816-390-8898. Great rates, a focus on customer service, and the fastest turn times in the industry. That is Fairway Independent Mortgage. Again, we appreciate everybody who's listening to this episode of Outside the Trenches. We are coming to you live, and we are presented by our good friends at Jack Stack Barbecue. Please hit that follow, subscribe buttons, and please give us a rating or a review if you like all of this. And what are you guys doing? What is all this motion, Tucker?
I was pointing at the Jack Stack logo.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
Tucker, it is your section. It is your time for Tucker's Crown Prime Beef of the Week. This is where Tucker Franklin tells us what's annoying him on social media. And there has been no shortage. There may even be multiple segments inside of this one segment where you tell us what's bothering you on social media. Tucker, let us have it.
Well, right now it's my internet. My internet connection is being a real pain in my butt right now. That's gonna be in a big beef. This is like a tasty Kansas City week, man. There's a lot of stuff going on. Bills fans talking smack, Chiefs fans talking smack. We got people making fun of babies on the Bills side of the things. We got people making fun of brothers. And then we got people making fun of parents. So it all kind of comes full circle when it comes to that. Our good friend Soli has found Josh Allen's parents' TikTok, and it is a treat. So Bills fans want to point fingers, but they got to realize they got 4 pointing back at them. So
yeah, there you go.
That's a big.
Is there anything more lame than a bunch of people that have never met, that will never meet in public, just like talking trash on people that they don't actually know?
Yeah, it's a bizarre concept.
That is lame. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. And that goes to Chiefs fans talking trash too. Like
I've been talking mad trash on TikTok. I've been doing some anti-Bills TikToks. If you go to my Twitter, got some anti-Bills ones. One's a pro Patrick Mahomes. I guess you can frame it that way. Maybe I should frame them as pro Chiefs TikToks, not anti-Bills.
That's a better way. I like that reframe.
There you go.
Good reframe.
Pro Chiefs TikToks. That's what you're gonna find on my channel. They don't call Twitter accounts channels. On my Twitter account.
All right. What's annoyed? Is anything annoyed you, Nick, on social media? You don't get annoyed very easily.
No, I don't. I really don't. No, I don't. No, there's nothing. I'll scroll through it every now and again. I like the search function. I'll make it all the way to the comedy section. It's like dated, and I don't know. I wish there was more information on Twitter. I don't like searching. I just like to stream it at me. But I like the trending stuff. Watch the games, take notes, and then that's. I don't get into much. I don't Twitter.
Just kind of scroll through and pick up news and see what's going on, because it's pretty easy. Everybody pretty much talks about the same kind of stuff.
It's recycled every week.
Everybody gets the opinion on the same things.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of news, the Chiefs just signed a futures contract with David Arnett before we hopped on this podcast. So that's interesting.
That's a whole different podcast, and everybody's got some takes on that. But it is a futures deal. There is absolutely no risk to this. Futures deals for any player who wasn't officially on any other roster that after a certain date can sign to basically be like on the practice squad for the offseason to come in and train. They report for phase 1 in April. These guys were not on a roster at the end of the NFL season, or they were on a practice squad, which isn't the active roster. And once the regular season's done for those teams, they become free agents per se. They can sign these reserve futures deals. So the Chiefs have done this. They do it every year. And they've had some guys that have come in, and Spencer Ware is a big example. He was one of the guys that signed that futures deal before he got his opportunity, took advantage of it, and then signed. So that's what Damon Arnett, the former. Yes, DeAndre Baker was in the same boat, I believe.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot of it's pretty all the same names that you would see with guys who are on practice squads. It's basically just signing to a practice squad in the offseason is a reserve futures deal, I believe.
Hey, question.
Why not? What's up?
Do practice squad players still not get playoff checks?
It's a great question. I don't
know anything about that.
I remember
they would have to.
Yeah.
They're not getting it for free, and they are there, so they have to be getting something. I don't know.
I remember in New Orleans, we always pulled our money together and to pay them to pay all the practice squad guys.
Oh wow!
Because in the playoffs, everyone gets one check. Everyone gets the same check.
Yeah.
Whether you're the Mahomes or the 53rd man on the roster.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's it used to be 18, and 28, and then 50 or 80.
Questions for Herbie Teope or Matt Derrick? I guarantee both those guys probably know the answer to that question. Sam McDowell will probably know the answer to that question. Well, Tucker, do you have any other beefs of the week to wrap up this Crown Prime beef of the week, also known as the best meat in Kansas City?
It's good meat. I don't think so. I just think that this week more than any other weeks, the fans have really been going at each other from both teams on social media. The Bills fans have this sort of je ne sais quoi swagger about them, and the Chiefs fans are just like, oh, we're here again. So it's one of those weeks.
I like that. Bills Mafia breaking tables at Arrowhead.
They will be.
Yeah,
they'll be there.
And to Tucker's point, a lot of talk about Jackson Mahomes, a lot of talk about Sterling Mahomes. It's just
what wild.
Who are these people? I know a few Bills fans, and they're good people. So that's all. They're fine. Yeah. There's always some in every fan base. That includes Chiefs Kingdom, unfortunately. So let's move on to the final segment here, and that is Blind Nil and Mr. Nick Leckey's favorite segment. And let's get into this, Nick. Let's just have you go first. And again, anyone who's listening, Blind Nil, we each bring a different segment, different topic. We don't know what each other are bringing. Talk about it here to finish out the show. And if anybody has questions, we are following along with the comments. I appreciate all the birthday wishes, even though I'm getting older and it's not a great thing. I have 1 year left before I turn 40, so I'm going to enjoy the next year. And I absolutely want 0 birthday wishes next year. But before we get into that, Nick, what is your Blind Nil segment that we can all discuss?
You're old enough to be Tucker's father, BJ. I love it. I just absolutely love it. Happy birthday. As I twist the dagger.
Drink that cherry blade lemonade bang.
Yes, he just chugged. If you're not watching, he just chugged his cherry lemonade bang right there.
It's a good one.
Blind Nil. It's weird. I have a football related one. This is so bizarre. And it's actually relevant. Okay, so if you're if you're Benamy, if you're Reed, and you have to start one running back, who are you starting? Based off, McKinnon played amazing last week. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was doing his thing when he was, healthy. Who are you starting? Williams is, who knows?
I give McKinnon the ball. I give McKinnon the ball.
You give him the start?
Yep.
What if CEH was full go? What if he's full speed, full health?
They're both going to play. So it's not like we're talking about a Chiefs running back with Andy Reid as the head coach. We're not talking about who's going to get 30 carries in this game. It doesn't really matter who starts, who's going to get the most touches. I'd give the most touches to McKinnon. He's the hot hand right now. And you have that's just kind of an obvious thing. And I think everybody in the locker room would be okay with that. Now, does that mean that everybody in that room would not be confident if it was CEH? I would seriously doubt that. But I would be surprised if they didn't give McKinnon as many touches as anyone else is getting right now. That's just kind of what you do in these situations. We're not talking about a rookie who had a decent game. We're talking about a veteran who's had success in the NFL, has been banged up, but when he's been healthy, has shown to be an impact player and then showed it last week. And I would just keep riding that hand, especially with some of the plays and some of the designs of things that require more of an explosive, shiftier guy. That is McKinnon. That's more of his style of play than CH. But between the tackles, he's going to give you, when you think you're going to get 3 yards, he's going to give you 7. But when McKinnon thinks he might get 3, he's going to turn it into 15. And that's where I think the Chiefs offense had been missing in the running game, was just the ability to pick up some chunk plays. Not necessarily 70, 80 yards, but just give us a little something with some burst. And we've seen that with McKinnon.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with Jerick McKinnon. BJ, I think you and I have been very big proponents of Jerick McKinnon from training camp. I mean, I really wanted to see that guy do well. I liked him with the Vikings and 49ers. He had that ACL injury and then re-injured it again, so it really kept him out for 2 years. So seeing him kind of ease back into the game has been big, and I think that he's been playing really well. He's a small guy that lays the wood, and that's what everyone loves to see is those small guys that'll truck you into the end zone and take you with you. But I do think that probably Clyde will start just because I don't know. I just think the comfort thing, but I do think that Jerick will get more touches, and I think that that's kind of going to be the trend here. And the fact that Jerick McKinnon can catch the ball as well as he does out of the backfield on those shoot routes and stuff like that, with Darrell Williams being hurt, I don't think you make Darrell Williams push it. I think if you're saying, hey, if you're not feeling comfortable, I mean, he's a running back who's got to do a lot of cuts, who's got to do a lot of planting. A toe's a tough injury there, especially if it's his big toe. That's a tough one. Patrick Mahomes kind of struggled with that as well, with the toe injury last year. So I think that if you can kind of give Darrell that time off, that rest that he really need with these toe injuries, these ankle injuries, I think that's good. And if Jerick McKinnon can do that serviceably, which he's shown he can, I don't see why he shouldn't get more touches than anyone else in that backfield. And I think Derek Gore's been playing really well, but he's kind of like the odd man out. That's the thing, is that like you're looking at this roster, they've got 5 running backs if you count Michael Burton. They're not going to keep 5 guys active. So I think Darrell Williams might be a guy that they make inactive just because Derek Gore can contribute on special teams. So we might see that happen as well. And same thing with Michael Burton. So I think that that's going to be kind of interesting to see how they deal with all that when it comes to inactives. And now Rashad Fenton was a healthy scratch with a back injury. Someone asked in the comments, I saw over there what Fenton's status was. Still hasn't practiced. So he's got that back injury, hasn't practiced up till today's Thursday. So tomorrow is going to be a big day to see if he can go. If he's limited, I'll feel a little bit better, but not much. But we'll see how that all shakes out.
Say back injury?
Back, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody told me once, you never used to have a back injury.
That's a fair point.
That's how it was described with Dontari Poe when he got injured. Somebody told me, like, you never used to have a back injury as a big guy. And it was more to a big guy, but that was before he was going to get paid, and that was during that whole time. But all right, let's move. Everybody, Nick, have you had a chance to speak on your blind nil segment?
No, I mean, I think you guys nailed it with both of them. Where I think from a locker room standpoint, you never want to lose your spot to injury. So give CEH a chance if he's 100%. Give him a chance to start. Warm up the game, and then bring in McKinnon where you can. And it's like, man, you got a really deep roster of running backs who have proved themselves in December, and I was very, very pleased with that.
Yeah. All right, Tucker, let's move on to your blind nil segment. What do you got for us today?
So I've been in this kick recently of watching touchdown celebrations, and I'm glad that the NFL decided not to flag these, right? They've started to be a little bit more fun. All right, you can use the ball. Chad Ochocinco is always really good at end zone celebrations. Chad Johnson, you might know him as well. But I think if if you score a touchdown, here's my blind nil. If you score a touchdown, what would be your go-to touchdown dance?
100%. I'm doing the weekend at Bernie's.
Yep.
Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah, exactly. It's like that. And then if I score 2 touchdowns, I'm doing the gritty. 100%. I've been working on that like all day, so I might get on TikTok and gritty, and then weekend at Bernie's it with the gritty action.
I'm jumping in the stands and taking photos with fans. Like I'm going to go and be with the people. Like that's what I would want to do. I'd have to make sure I could jump high enough to get up there because that would be embarrassing. So I'd definitely be like spying a spot where it's not too tall, or I could jump off of something. But it would be very similar to jumping into the stands or like the Eric Fisher beer thing. I just look for food, beer, drink, anything that's near the edge of where I'm jumping up into the stands.
He got fined for that, didn't he, Eric Fisher?
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
And then bad. I think Bud Light sponsored him and then paid for it because
there was a billboard on 7.
It was like 4 million views on that video. It's like just paying the $25,000. Like that's worth 4 million views. Like
right, yeah.
It's got $4 million of publicity.
Amazing.
I just want to pop a few comments up here. Benjamin, you're right. It does.
That's how I intended, Benjamin.
It's not the first time you've listened.
Right.
First time listener, obviously. Yeah.
Okay. What my thought was here is I think you gotta do the belly flop into the worm, right? So you just like
nice.
belly flop and then do the worm. I think that's a good one. I did that at a wedding one time. People went crazy. So I think that you got to stick with that with the continuity. And man, the Nick Allegretti, just the big man spike, is always a good one. I think that that's always a tried and true touchdown celebration, especially with a big boy, you know, a thick six happening. You just get a nasty spike. Oh, can't beat it really.
It's a
All right,
monster.
and here's another one just to throw this out there because I like the over the top, like being a smart aleck about it. You're kind of leaning into the narratives that are happening. I can't celebrate. The refs are being lame about it. I don't remember who the player was, and I don't even remember if it was NFL or college, but they scored a touchdown and then robotically walked over and like robotically set the football down and then walked back.
That would be awesome.
Like, do not show emotion.
That
like,
would be awesome.
Yes.
Not celebrate.
Yeah. 10 of 10 for creativity. Yes.
Something leaning into, I'm going to try to do everything I can not to do this. It's like the 3 pumps, like those commercials, like just lean into something in that way. Be perfect for me. But all right, guys, my blind nil, because next Thursday, Tucker Franklin and I are packing up a little SUV and hopping on the road, driving to Las Vegas, 1,326 miles for the East-West Shrine Bowl. We're going out there for the East-West Shrine Bowl and to watch the AFC title games. The Chiefs will be playing in that as well. We're going to go out there for like 8 days and get content for the draft season, do a bunch of stuff while we're out there, interview players. Got a lot of cool stuff coming up. But Tucker and I are going to spend about 20 hours in the car together. So my question is, what is the best road trip that you guys in a car have ever taken? Where did you go? Who were you with? And why is it the one that you're sharing? And Tucker, you're nodding, so I'll have you go first.
Yeah, I got it. So my family used to take road trips a lot when we were in high school. And there's like 6 of us in my family. So road tripping was basically the only way we could travel. Because if you start looking at airline prices for like 6 people, not a chance. So we did a road trip up to New York City, but stopped Pennsylvania, went to Hershey, Pennsylvania. That place is awesome. Smells like chocolate everywhere. Then we went to like New York City. We pulled a camper the whole way. We went to New York City, and then we went up. We went up to Niagara Falls, or we went to Cooperstown first. That was cool. Yep. We went to Cooperstown, and then we went up to Niagara Falls. On the way back, we hit Canton. So I got to see the Baseball and Football Hall of Fame all on that same trip. And that was probably, I think, the best road trip that I've taken. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Damn, that's cool, Tucker. That's like grand. That's a grand road trip. You know, I'd have to rank up there. Anytime I drove from Manhattan, Kansas back to Dallas, 6.5 hours, I'd get in a car and go like on a Thursday night and just go back home for a weekend. Went to South Padre, which, believe this, guys, this is a bizarre stat. From Dallas to South Padre, it's 11-hour drive.
Texas is big.
Texas is huge,
big.
Man.
It's also Dallas to El Paso is 11 hours.
That's insane.
I mean, it's crazy to think about. But I remember the best road trip. Well, I don't know if it's the best road trip, but I would say that the most interesting road trip when you look at like from like a MapQuest or a navigation thing was when when I signed with the Saints and we moved from Phoenix to New Orleans. It was like the weirdest GPS thing because it was like, get on I-10. And I-10 is like 10 minutes from our house in Arizona. It was like, get on I-10 and continue for 1,800 miles to New Orleans, Louisiana. It was like, it was the weirdest thing ever just to be on one highway for the whole damn time. And it was just bizarro. It was like direct I-10, 1 billion miles, and then exit I-10 in New Orleans to get to our apartment. It was just unique in that regard. So I'm like, okay, we're on I-10. Okay, great. And it's also the first time I had Buc-ee's. That trip. That was huge.
I just looked down because I have my gray sweatshirt on, and I looked at it the other night. I took a picture of it, and I think you guys have both seen it. I stopped by the Buc-ee's outside of that, like wherever is between 35 coming up, Kansas City. Yeah, Denton. I bought a bunch of stuff for like my kids because I was like, I can't just buy one thing. So my kids are gonna be like, hey, why didn't you do this? So I bought like the Buc-ee pillow. It was like $35, and I looked at it the other night. It was just randomly on our couch. I looked at it, I go, why the did I buy this? Like, what am I doing? Why did I buy this? But favorite road trip, and I've driven a lot. Like I routinely would drive from Kansas City down to the Senior Bowl, which is like 13 hours. I just liked road trips. I don't mind drive. It's peaceful to me to get out on the road and just drive. But I moved to Oro Valley, just outside Tucson. I lived there for a little while. But before I did that, I drove from Kansas City down to Shreveport to visit a buddy of mine who was playing independent baseball. Tommy owns Fielder's Choice Baseball Academy down in Wichita, but he was playing independent ball and for the American Association League, the team in Shreveport, same team that the Kansas City Monarchs playing now and all those teams.
Yeah.
But drove down, spent a few days with him, and then I drove from Shreveport to Tucson by myself. And so like it was just a peaceful road trip. And Nick, you talked about like driving through Arizona. There's a few of those highways where you're out in the desert where you like come down a hill where you can see for like 5 miles and the road is like dead straight. It's about the only time I've got up to like 120 because I was like, there's nobody out here. It's a dead straight line. Like I'm going to see how fast this thing can go. And then I realized this is a horrible idea because if anything happens, like there's nobody around for a very long time.
Wow.
I personally like road trips and I'm looking forward to this road trip with Tucker. We're going to do some Tucker is going to do some vlogs and some different things. We don't know what route we're taking yet, but yeah, we're going to get out there.
Awesome.
Does the southern route go through El Paso? I haven't looked at a map at all, so I didn't know.
That's way southern. I think you'd be going out of your way
to Vegas.
Yeah, you're way out of your way. No, you're going
through the panhandle.
You're going 70, or you're
going
40?
through the panhandle of West Texas. You go down through Liberal and you cut through the top part of Texas.
Armpit of Texas.
I don't know what the city is. Anybody who's listening can tell us, but there's a city in the panhandle of Texas where it's just like cattle farm for like somewhere. And it smelled like, you know what I'm talking about? You drove that highway, you drive, and there's just like cattle on both sides of this highway for like 30 miles. Like it's just all cattle.
Yeah. I just want to go to El Paso because I want to play the Marty Robbins song.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great song.
Marty Robbins is a great storyteller.
In the West Texas town of El Paso.
Might drive through Flagstaff, Tucker, if we're going to the Grand Canyon. We just haven't figured out the weather yet. We don't know if we're going northern route, southern route. On the way back, we will go through St. George and that whole area because it's beautiful. I want to show your young eyes a lot of the country.
See, this is like a true father-son trip. I love this. This is awesome. Are you going to buy him snacks, Beach?
He's going to buy me the $35 Bookies pillow.
Might have to at this point. I'll see if it makes the blog. And yes, Butler fam, it is Dalhart, Texas. Now that you say I've been there several times.
Yes.
Exactly what it is.
That's too bad you're not taking the southern route because John Madden used to eat at this restaurant in Texas, in Van Horn, Texas. They had like a big mural of them on the Madden Cruiser, and it's this great little Mexican spot that Madden used to spot. It's in Van Horn, Texas. I bet you if you look it up, Van Horn, Texas, Mexican food, John Madden, and it's a great little spot in the middle of nowhere. In Van Horn, Texas. But yeah, it's too far south. Road trip snacks, anybody? Like corn nuts and sugar-free Red Bull and beef jerky. That's what I like.
It's going to be Bang Energy and Cookie Society and see what else
some Crown Prime beef ribs.
We'll see what happens. But we've had a few people. I know Matt Ferris asked why we are not flying. The flights, I was going to get out there a little bit early and I had 6 cases with me. Like in cases with all of our equipment, all of our stuff, and I can't fly with 6 cases by myself. And it gets kind of expensive to fly all that stuff, and it was just easier to drive. So, and I don't mind driving. So, love the road trip. Again, we got about 1 minute left here in the show. If anybody has any questions out there, please shoot us those questions. This is a Chiefs podcast, not a road trip podcast. So, anybody has any questions about the game, we'll touch on those. But again, we appreciate everybody for spending part of your Thursday afternoon with us. Passing some time before Sunday night at 5:30 kickoff Chiefs Bills for the de facto what we're calling the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, big game. I'm excited for it. It's gotten to the point kind of where I'm like, all right, I'm not tired of talking about it, but I'm just ready for the game to happen. It's one of those things where it's just like, okay, let's get to it. We've analyzed this game. It seems like from top to bottom to left to right. I'm just ready to watch the football game happen because it's going to be a really good game. These are 2 really good quarterbacks. And it doesn't get better than this, really.
Yeah. 90s heavyweight championship bout.
It really is.
What that needs is a good montage, is what it needs. You need a hair band and a good montage for this game. And it's going to be fun. This is the game. Like if you would have gone back to the beginning of the season and said the two teams playing the best, say they're healthy, there's no crazy injuries, who are the best two teams in the AFC if they're both healthy and playing well? These are those two teams. And that's why we're calling it the de facto AFC title game. So you got to go out and play well. If the Chiefs do not play well or they play slow, they're going up against a team that, based on what we saw last week and how they performed against the New England Patriots, this team, they can absolutely not only beat us, but go on, win the AFC title game and win a Super Bowl. And so if you want to hang another banner, if you want to put another ring on one of those fingers, then you've got to go out and beat, three good teams at this point. And honestly, this might be the best team that the Chiefs have left to face in those three games overall. So
yeah,
we've got that. And we've got one question here from Cole, because we did not touch on this earlier and I don't want to completely ignore it. But Cole Kaler asked, do you guys think Willie's arrest will be a distraction? No, I don't. And we don't get all the details, but based on what we see, this is a non-story. That's not saying that as a Chiefs fan, saying that as somebody who's gotten frustrated and broke something before, and it wasn't headline news. But I'm also not a Chiefs player, so wouldn't be headline news. But to me, this is a non-story, outside of the fact that Coach Reed and a bunch of players are probably going to have to answer questions about it during media, which is annoying for them because it's not their responsibility to answer something personal like this for another player. But no, I don't think it's going to distract anything. The only thing it could distract is pissing him off if people make a bunch of comments about how it's going to distract him, and then the team uses it to be like, you know what, we're just going to worry about what we do on the field.
Yeah, I wasn't even fazed by the news when I saw the headline. It said misdemeanor. I was like, oh, and then I saw the statement. I was like, no, it's still not even that big of a deal. So, yep.
That's all we have to say about that. Is nothing. All right,
do we eat wings?
Final thoughts.
Can we? What do we call wings this week?
Oh, because buffalo. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what? I'm not going to eat wings. I wasn't doing it before, but now you said that, I'm boycotting wings because the Buffalo grocery store boycotted Kraft's KC Masterpiece barbecue sauce as some sort of slight to Kansas City.
They play New England. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No wings.
We're gonna call them hot wings. Hot wings. Need some wings.
Probably.
Okay.
I'm not gonna eat wings. I haven't eaten wings since. Well, hey, the Chiefs started playing good after I started eating all those wings. When I stopped, so you're welcome.
In fact, do
your part.
Honestly, for anybody who's listening, who's a subscriber, if you haven't gone into the Discord, there's a Google Forms link. We're gonna have a special private party for just a handful of our paid yearly subscribers who want to come to the Kingdom Bar and Grill and hang out with us on Sunday night. Make sure you get in there. There's only limited amount of space. The bar is not open in that kind of way, but we all are going to hang out there. I'm going to order some pizzas so everybody's got food. There's no alcohol, nothing like that. But if you want to come and hang out with Kent, Tucker, myself, Nick, we may have some other special guests. Got to confirm those before we promote them. But Nick, you're always busy. I know you're always busy on game day.
I actually have my kid is a 7:30 indoor game that night.
They didn't move it. They didn't cancel it. They didn't.
I don't know.
Rude.
Reschedule it.
Ridiculous.
That's rude.
Crazy. Well, anyway, if you're listening out there and you're one of our subscribers, get into the Discord and sign up. I think there might be a couple of spots left. They just put in there yesterday. I haven't got an update yet today, but if you want to come hang out with us for that game, Kingdom Bar and Grill is going to be awesome. Should be open in the next couple of weeks. A lot of that's outside our hands. There's health inspection, all that kind of stuff going on. So can't put a date on it yet. But hopefully as soon as possible. It's a Chiefs bar. Chiefs are playing. Kind of want to be open for the season. So doing the best they can, but we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Before we let it go, final thoughts. Nick, what do you got to take us home?
Go Chiefs. Have a good one. Be safe.
Tucker, what do you got to take us home?
I just saw a question here from Angry Drunken German. What's the word on Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Full participant today. So I think that he should be good to go, and it looks like that both of these teams are going to be healthy as they're going to get. So it's going to be an exciting game this week.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you everybody for tuning in. If you haven't, please rate, review, subscribe, tell all your friends about what we got going on at KC Sports Network. A lot of cool stuff we're going to be announcing over the next couple of months as we go into the offseason, expanding our coverage in a lot of different ways. Again, we'll have all that information for you soon as we continue to work through that. But thank you for tuning in to this episode of Outside the Trenches on KC Sports Network. We will see you guys next time.